Today, we delve into the hidden struggles of Victorian women, the challenges of Victorian women's fashion. Imagine this. You're dressed in layers of petticoats, corsets, and a giant hoop skirt the size of a small tent. You're attending a royal ball, sipping tea with nobles, and suddenly nature calls. Now what? How do you lift all that fabric? Where do you even go? And more importantly, how on earth did women menstruate in those dresses? Welcome to the Victorian Era, an age of elegance, strict decorum, and downright baffling hygiene challenges. The reality of hygiene. In the Victorian era, for decades, Victorian women were trussed up in crinolines and voluminous dresses. Queen Victoria herself was a fashion icon of this style. These puffy garments symbolized ideals of femininity, grace, and decorum. But beneath the grandeur lay a daily struggle most history books don't mention. In the early Victorian era, flushing toilets and underground sewers were nothing but a fantasy. Europeans hadn't yet embraced the very concept of the toilet. And when nature called, the old saying, "When you gotta go, was just a fact of life. Where did they go? With no indoor plumbing, people relieved themselves wherever they could, behind trees in open fields or right inside their homes. Yes, you heard that right. Inside. Ever heard someone say they didn't have a pot to piss in? That wasn't just a colorful insult. It was a brutal reality. The pot referred to a chamber pot, a simple bowl you could use to eat. The streets. They reeked. The lid was sealed tightly, not for courtesy, but as a warning. The door was locked. The French warning of "watch out for the water" was a polite notice that something very impolite was about to fall from above. The use of chamber pots. The stench was unbearable. Homes reeked, streets overflowed, and entire cities drowned in their own filth. Some streets had raised stone steps so pedestrians could leap over the running waste. But here's the real kicker. During the Napoleonic Wars, urine was refined into saltpeter, a crucial ingredient in making gunpowder. Your pee was quite literally fueling war, and the women of the era, draped in layers of crinolines, petticoats, overskirts, and bodices, had to navigate this reality. Innovative solutions for women's needs. The open-crotched drawers allowed a woman to simply lower herself over a chamber pot gracefully and discreetly, without bearing all to the world. Chamber pots for women were specially designed, not round like the standard ones used by men, but oval with scooped-in sides to fit snugly between the thighs. A lady would position the pot beneath her skirts, and with a subtle maneuver under the fabric done right, no one in the room would even notice. Retiring rooms and their importance. At fancy balls or social gatherings, there were entire retiring rooms set aside just for this. Inside, multiple pots sat ready, and maids stood by like battlefield nurses. One would lift the many layers of the lady's gown, while another positioned the pot underneath her. Afterward, a quick wipe with a damp cloth, and she was back to the ballroom as if nothing had happened. Not all women had that luxury. For many, the process was simpler and rougher. Primitive hygiene practices. The early Victorian era saw the use of dried corn cobs, which were rotated like a crude roller brush to clean the area. And if that sounds primitive, remember, these weren't delicate instruments. They were reused, cleaned only occasionally, if at all. Another favorite was the sea sponge on a stick, dipped into a communal bucket filled with salt water or vinegar, used again and again. Comfort wasn't the point. Cleanliness. That's debatable. The evolution of toilet paper. As paper became more common and slightly more affordable, Victorians started turning to printed materials, newspapers, catalogs, even magazines. If you ever wondered what happened to last month's issue, it might have ended up in the chamber pot. Toilet paper, as we know it, didn't begin to take shape until the late 1800s when patents began to appear. But it wasn't until the early 1900s that it was mass-produced into soft, rolled sheets like we have today. Menstruation in the Victorian era. Victorian women had fewer periods than women do today for three main reasons. Puberty started between 12 and 14, menopause often came early, and poor nutrition led to irregular cycles. When that time of the month came, women faced it without a single pad, tampon, or disposable product. They got resourceful with something called the tea bandage, a primitive bikini bottom tied at the waist and packed with absorbent rags. Resilience and expectations. Women often had to change their tea bandage as many as 12 to 20 times a day, depending on their flow. It was exhausting, uncomfortable, and utterly necessary. Through it all, women were expected to remain graceful, poised, and utterly silent about what they were enduring. Pain, blood, odor, it all had to be managed beneath layers of silk, lace, and iron discipline. No one talked about it, but every woman lived it. The care of elaborate gowns. So how did Victorians wash those massive floor-sweeping dresses? They didn't, like we do today. These garments were worn until they were threadbare or until the stench was so overpowering it practically screamed before you even entered the room. But beneath those elaborate gowns, hidden from view, was the real shield against filth. Layers upon layers of washable undergarments, shifts, chemises, petticoats, crinolines. So now here's the real question: moss and rags. Let us know in the comments below.